Well, howdy, everybody. Teresa here. I want to give a disclaimer before I do this video. This is a little bit harder of a video for me to do because it is my personal story with my battle with depression, suicide attempt, a negative headspace. This is only my story, nobody else's. And if you are triggered by things like this, I would suggest that you don't watch it. I would suggest this is not a video that children should be watching at all. So, it is highly personal stuff. So, anyway, about 10 years ago, I did attempt to commit suicide. I have been battling depression since undiagnosed, since about from my early teens on. I masked it by using food. There were some dynamics that went on in my childhood home of abuse in every form that were very damaging, of course, as they are to so many people. And I never got help. In my family, Charlie quit. In my family, it is very, very looked down upon, sadly, to get help or even say you're depressed. Certainly no understanding about it. So, years and years go by. Finally, I decided when my first grandchild was born that I was going to start college. I'd already gone to cosmetology school, and was licensed and everything, but I'd never gone to college. And I decided that at 40 years of age, I wanted to start going to college. So I did. I started in January. I started going to college. That's about when my granddaughter was probably about 6 months old at that point in time. And that was a very extremely hard period in my life. And initially my major was nursing. And then I changed it once. I had taken elective and I decided to take a drawing class, and the minute I stepped back into an art studio, it was all over. I had to change my major right away because I just fell completely back in love with and felt at home being in an art studio. But anyway, there was a dynamic going on at home, and it was nobody's fault. But it was just, I had never been taught how to handle such things. And there was my husband and my relationship was not near as strong as it is now. Plus, I'd always been undiagnosed. When I started college, I realized that you could go to counseling for free. Well, I was working with a doctor at that point in time who was put me on a very low dose of, I think it was Adderall, because of having ADHD, and I was not diagnosed yet with Asperger's. And when I started seeing a counselor, I got a low dose of antidepressants, and life progresses on. Doesn't get any better, and I'm basically trying to run away from problems. I decide to start basically my junior year of college and to and go to University of New Mexico. Why University of New Mexico? Because they have one of the lowest tuitions there was. It was I forget what you say it, where you know Wyoming and New Mexico those states work together and transfer credits and stuff. Um, Thought I could probably do that and still handle being away from home and being away from my husband, and I thought maybe it would actually even be good for me. Turns out I only lasted about 6 weeks. It was not a good thing. I came back and I was no longer in school. I had withdrawn. Like I said, I was only there about 6 weeks. I felt like a complete failure. Dynamics at home with some things that were going on, and that were not getting any better. And I felt like things were never going to get better. Things were never going to change. And it was a day. People always say that people talk about committing suicide before they do it. People do it just for attention. And I say that is not always the case. I did not talk at all about committing suicide. I left no note. My husband was home that day, and I just had decided I'd had enough. And I told him I was going to go take a nap. Well, by that point in time, I'm on a few different antidepressant medications, and I decided I'm going to commit suicide by taking a bunch of medication. And so I did without really even any forethought. And I just simply laid down. And I did text one friend, they were a couple, and told them not to worry about me anymore, that I was going to be happy. And somehow they picked up on that. And of course, they tried to call me and got no response. And they called the sheriff, because they didn't even live in the same town, who called the sheriff in our little town, and they did a well check, and that's when they found me. And I feel bad for my husband, and I always will, because he had no clue that his wife was laying in there. They said about 10 minutes longer, and I would not have made it. The sad thing is, and you're taught too, not to talk about it if you try to commit suicide, not to talk about it if you have some mental health issues. My family has a long history of mental health issues. Excuse me while I get so close to you, because I got to get my coffee. I was in a very negative headspace. I was raised in a very negative household. And you never knew when, like, the next big bomb or blow up or fighting or pain or what was going to happen next. Like I said, especially on my dad's side, there's been many family members that have committed suicide and have had like long-term mental health issues where they had to be in, in a hospital for, well, one uncle was forever, and aunts and uncles. And on my mom's side, there's also a lot of addiction too, and a lot of mental health issues. It's just nobody talks about it, sadly. Well, not talking about it. If they had been more open and talked about these issues, I probably would have recognized the signs in myself sooner and could have gotten help sooner. Or, you know, um, you know, like that. My granddaughter, and she's gonna turn 13, had told me she was feeling depressed, and she thought she was depressed. And I said, well, talk to your mom about it. And she did, and she's going to counseling now and stuff. You didn't get to do that kind of stuff when you were, when I was growing up, you know. If I would have said that, my mom would have said, you're depressed, I'll give you something to be depressed about, Mac. But it's really too bad. And then even after my suicide attempt, everybody was like, don't talk about it. And it's like, why? If me talking about it helps one other person. Because the thing is, after I attempted suicide, and I got put on a 3-day hold and stuff, and I've already told that story. Charlie, quit. Charlie, hello. Don't lick your man junk when I'm telling the story, please. I know. Save it for later. Okay? We're gonna get a better fan, okay? But anyway, what I was gonna say. I went through a really hard time. I got a psychiatrist and a psychologist, and it happened to be a husband-wife team. And he prescribed every damn drug there was and had me so overly medicated and kept giving me diagnosis after diagnosis after diagnosis. I'm bipolar 2. I have anxiety. Well, duh. Um, PTSD. Well, duh. You know, um, manic depressive. And stuff, and hadn't looked into the Asperger's, with coincidentally most times people that are on the autism spectrum have some depression issues. If you don't know that, look up the studies. But and I'm not saying all, but many. And but he even had me on amphetamines, guys. And I mean, he had me on uppers, he had me on downers. I don't even remember a few years in that time. I was just a zombie and stuff. And finally, my doctor said, my normal physician said, took a look at the list of prescriptions. And he said, why are you on so many things that are in the same classification and do the same thing? And I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, I would go and talk to your doctor and tell him that you're on way too much. And I tried to, and that didn't work. So I basically fired my doctor, and not my general physician, but my psychiatrist, and uh, got off all the medications, slowly stepped down, and now all I'm on is um, a low dose of an antidepressant. And the biggest thing I've done is you have to take a look, and this isn't, like I said, this is just me. I'm not saying this will work for everybody. I was in a negative headspace, and I had to correct why I was in a negative headspace. Because you can talk so much, and therapy and counseling certainly help so much. And I always suggest that. I still go once in a great while. I have it here. But, in Wyoming, once in a great while, just make sure that I'm doing okay. It doesn't hurt any. But uh looking to you guys. I had to fix what was really bothering me. Means I had to eliminate some relationships, even within the family, that were very damning and damaging. Um, and you can't keep spinning on those wheels and not get anywhere. You can't do that hamster wheel and not get anywhere. I had to start making changes within my life uh, to get my head on straight. Because it's like that. The weight is basically a big symptom of what is really wrong with you in your head, in your negative headspace. And I mean, it's another addiction. And I'm glad that I ended up not having weight loss surgery, because it wouldn't have worked for me until my head was on straight. And that's a lifelong process. You're still working on it. Once in a while, you'll end up eating some chocolate you shouldn't eat, and stuff. But I'm doing much better now. My whole thing is, don't give up, okay? You're still going to have days and even short periods where maybe you feel very down and are maybe a little depressed. You guys know, after we got here and stuff, I had to have them up my antidepressant just a little bit, because, and even before I left Wyoming, my doctor was wondering if it was strong enough or if we would need to change. And just having them up it just a little bit was enough to help and to keep working on my positive headspace. I used to always think that people were out to get me, that nobody liked me, that I was just worthless, that I never could do anything right. And what that basically is an echoing of what I was taught growing up, that I was worthless, that I was stupid, that I'm no good, that, I never do anything right, etc. And, I have to work very hard on a positive headspace. It's like even living here in this RV is not an ideal thing. It is for a while. It has its good thing points. It's got its bad points. But you got to make the best of it. And that's why I started doing the hats for 50 states. Because that gives me a focus. That gives me a positive focus. Because before, one of my focuses used to be, gotta have a drink of this coffee. Yeah. One of my focuses used to be cooking. Well, I'm a hell of a baker. Not any of the real fancy stuff, but um, I can throw me down some cookies now. I can't do that. We're both diabetics. I'm trying to lose weight. I can't turn to food. Food has always been my friend. Food and animals and artwork have always been my my go-tos. And I can't turn to food. It's not my friend. Okay, it's just fuel for my body. I can't keep doing that. I'm gonna eat myself to death. And I probably will never be real thin, but I just want to be able to move better and stuff. And I think that's part of turning your life into more of a positive and going, well, you know what? Maybe I am worth taking care of too. I take care of everybody else. Maybe I should take care of myself. And it's a daily thing, but eliminate the negative. I know it sounds kind of funny, but even look at yourself in the mirror once a day and say something nice to yourself. You know, it helps. Write letters. Do people have hurt you? Write a letter and then just tear it up. Just the physical act of tearing it up or burning it is very cleansing. My friend Angie has taught me that you can make a video, just don't post it, you know, or make a video and don't name names and then just keep it in your banks and then 3 years down the road then you could maybe post it. Nobody would know what you're talking about. Talk to your friends. I am so blessed that I have, some friends that I can go to and lean to and depend on and stuff that I can talk to, and they understand, like that. It gets me thinking about this stuff because tomorrow's my birthday. And I know that because of the dynamics of the family stuff, I haven't heard from my parents in um, 3.5 years. And even though tomorrow's my birthday, I won't hear from them. Normally that would be a very sad and depressing day because, it is hurtful. But it's like, you know what? I'm going to be 53 and I'm blessed to be 53. And that's okay because I've already made arrangements that I'm going to call and 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 visit with Angie and you know spend some time talking with her, you know so that will really help. And surround yourself by positivity. And I know you're maybe sitting there thinking you don't know where to start and that your life is such a mess and it's never going to get better. Trust me, it will. There were times I would sit and I would talk out loud because I had nobody else to talk to, and this is back in Wyoming. And I would sit there and I would cry. Well, I needed to have those cleansing tears. And then, you keep asking, what can you do? For me, was talking to God because I got to that point, and I'm just and whatever you believe in, what am I gonna do? I don't know what to do, and then you just start step by step. For me, being so clinically depressed, it meant that that day I was gonna get dressed. It, really, that day I was actually going to get dressed. That day I was actually going to spend some time, you know, doing my hair. I was going to actually spend some time because I was so deep in the depression I couldn't even clean my house or anything, you know. Um, that I was going to spend some time vacuuming. I was going to spend some time cleaning just one room, even if it was just surface cleaning. But just step by step by step. And the biggest thing was I started getting rid of all the negativity. I didn't watch negative movies. I didn't read negative posts. I didn't feed into any of that. And I just kept saying positive. And pretty soon it gets better. My favorite saying is positive in, negative out, you know. So whatever works for you, you'll find your own, but it's never hopeless. It's never hopeless. You're a beautiful being. There's a reason why you're here. If nothing else, you're here just to watch this. You know, it will get better. You may think it will never get better. And also, what if you look at it, okay, this is what it is. This is what my life will be. This is it. So I have to look, say I'm sitting here right now, and this is all I ever get to see again. It's this RV and my surroundings. So what's positive about it right now? Well, first off, right behind me is a beautiful bow that my friend Mary sent on a birthday gift. Right by me is a beautiful black mastiff dog who loves me. I can see my flowers right out the window in the hanging baskets. The dragon's blood begonias and their bright red flowers. I can see the bay. I can see the tides going out. I can see green grass. I can see the trees. Inside, I can see painting I've done, or a couple paintings I've done. I see a few of my horror props. You know, I see you guys, talking to you guys. I've got a nice cup of coffee. My husband will be home in a little bit. You know, I've got my craft by me. I've got some artwork I could be doing. I've got my peddler. I have a Nixie just came and jumped off the bed and came right here by me. So right now here it's okay. You know, I'm safe. Um, I'm coolish. Got a nice cup of coffee. So, you know, not in any pain. So, you know, don't give up, guys. You're worth it. You're worth it. Take care of you first. One tiny step at a time. And remember, crash, you know. So, anyway, I hope my story helps any of you guys. If you have questions, go ahead and ask and I will answer. And if I don't feel like answering, I will ask you for an email address, or you can email me. My email address is in the description, along with other contact information. You know, and you can go ahead and email me, and I will answer you back. It might take me a couple days, but I will. All right. Love you guys, and I do cherish your friendship so much, and I think you guys are awesome, and hang in there. You will get better. Talk to you later. Bye.